Exploring the 3 unfathomable biblical hells, shocking truths you never knew. The air was thick with fear as the townsfolk whispered about the legends that had haunted their nights. They spoke of 3 unfathomable biblical hells, places so vivid and terrifying that the mere mention of them would turn the bravest men pale. One town elder, with a voice that trembled like the flicker of a dying flame, shared tales that twisted stomachs and sent shivers down spines. "They say," he began, "that in hell's deepest abyss, the shadows whisper secrets sent from the damned, drowning out the cries of torment with eerie laughter that chills your very soul as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting an ominous glow over the cracked pavement." Curiosity tugged at people's hearts. They gathered, uneasy yet eager, around the flickering streetlight, eyes wide as they soaked in the tales. These were no ordinary tales. This was a mystery wrapped in fear, a pulse of danger as they learned of the first hell, a place of unending fire and souls scorched beyond recognition, each flame a reminder of a sin unforgiven. The fear crackled like static in the air, the scent of smoke lingering, conjuring images of agony and despair. Then, out of the nervous chatter emerged murmurs about the second hell, a misty domain where the lost were entrapped in an eternal fog, suffocating darkness that twisted their faces in despair. "People disappear in the fog," a man exclaimed, and gasps chorused through the crowd like a gust of wind. Eyes darted from face to face, uncertainty gripping everyone. "Who goes in and never comes out?" The trembling question hung heavily, electric with fear. It felt like an unseen presence loomed over them, thickening the atmosphere, but there was one secret still hidden, one that sent a rush of adrenaline through the onlookers. The unfathomable third hell, a place where creatures of the night roamed freely, flaunting their supernatural power, hungry for souls to feast upon. A place where the darkness had a heartbeat, and that heartbeat whispered their names in the dead of night. It was enough to send chills tumbling down spines, and every shadow that flickered in the dim light felt alive. "What if it's real?" someone whispered, and a collective dread knotted in the throats of all gathered. No one could shake off the sensation that their souls were being watched from the depths. "Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The crowd hung on every word, their hearts pounding like battle drums in their chests. What happened next was beyond comprehension. A piercing howl echoed through the night, echoing like a cry from the very depths of hell itself. Eyes widened, breath caught. It was as if the ground below them trembled in fear as the stories merged with reality. Darkness shifted ominously, brushing against their legs, leaving a lingering chill that promised only more dread. What had they awakened? Was there truth hidden in those tales that could unleash horrors beyond imagination? The tension was so thick, it felt like a knife slicing through the air, pulling them closer to the edge of discovery. What haunted revelations awaited those brave enough to seek them? As the howl faded into the night, an unnatural quiet enveloped the crowd. Hearts raced. The air was electric. Shadows danced around them like unseen specters, teasing the edges of their vision. Was something truly out there, lurking in the depths of the darkness? Fear gripped more tightly as they waited, anticipating the next sound, the next movement. Then it happened, a rustle, a shuffling in the bushes, just beyond the flickering light. Whispers turned to gasps, and people instinctively took a step back as if the very ground beneath them would swallow them whole. The town elder, previously so animated, stood frozen, eyes wide, panic stealing his voice. "Is anyone there?" A brave soul shouted, his voice cracking. It echoed, swallowed by the darkness. No answer. Only silence, thick and heavy. The group shifted nervously, the flickering light felt like a spotlight on horror, illuminating what they hoped to avoid, and then, from the shadows, came a figure, a silhouette shaped unnaturally, contorting in ways that seemed impossible. Fear coursed through the crowd in waves, and they recoiled instinctively. The creature stepped into the dim light, revealing hollow eyes that glinted with an inhuman hunger. The air turned cold, and even the sound of breathing seemed to vanish. "Mistress of the abyss," it rasped, voice like gravel grinding against bone, "your curiosity has summoned me." A wave of dread washed over the townsfolk. The elder, barely able to articulate a response, trembled, his lips parting as if to utter a warning, a prayer, something to combat the horror they faced. But no sound emerged. "What are you?" someone finally dared to ask, their voice quivering like a fragile leaf in autumn. "I am what lies beneath your fears. I am an echo of the flames where the souls writhe. I am the fog that hides the lost," the creature announced, its form shifting like a shadow in the wind. "But more than that, I am the keeper of the secret you so eagerly seek." Stunned silence overwhelmed the crowd. Every person exchanged hurried glances, a shared realization dawning upon them. Seeking the truth, they understood, meant diving into a darkness from which few returned. The elder, finally finding his voice, stepped forward, defiance flickering in his eyes. "What secret do you speak of?" The creature laughed, a sound both chilling and entrancing. "To know how to free a soul from the first hell, you must bear witness to unimaginable pain in the second and embrace the darkness in the third. What are you willing to sacrifice?" Gasps filled the air like a gale, a mix of horror and intrigue. Would they dare to traverse the three distinct hells? What could possibly lie at the end of such a treacherous journey? "I will go," a woman declared, her voice trembling yet resolute, eyes blazing with a mixture of terror and determination. Others shifted uneasily, unsure if they should follow her boldness or retreat into the safety of ignorance. With a sudden burst of movement, the figure lunged into the dark, its laughter echoing like a haunting melody. "Find me when you're ready or be consumed by what you fear most." The night turned colder, a sinister veil wrapping around them as the figure vanished into the shadows. The group stood in profound silence, hearts hammering with questions and dread. What awaited them in the abyss? Who would dare join the woman in her quest? The stillness seemed heavy with anticipation, as if the very fabric of reality urged them to take the plunge. Fingers trembled, nerves coiled, the moment hung thick in the air. They stood on the precipice of a journey that would take them beyond everything they once knew, and each heartbeat seemed to whisper, "What if it's true?" Would they be brave enough to follow? Or would they bury their heads in the sand, turning their backs on the truth that called out from the depths? As the last remnants of the creature's laughter faded into obscurity, one thing was clear: the next step would change everything. They had stirred the darkness, but now, would the darkness consume them? The flickering light sputtered, casting eerie shadows that danced like the spirits of the damned. Every person held their breath, minds swirling with fear and uncertainty. The woman who had bravely stepped forward, named Alara, felt the weight of 1,000 eyes upon her back. It was almost as if the crowd was weighing her worthiness, seeking assurance in her steps. "Are you sure?" someone whispered from the sidelines, their voice edged with skepticism. "This isn't a game." Alara's heart raced, hammering against her ribs like a caged animal. Yet, deep down, an unyielding spark ignited within her. "It's not a game," she rasped, lips trembling. "It's a chance to reveal the truth, to save those lost souls." The crowd stirred restlessly, torn between admiration for her bravery and sheer terror at what lay ahead. The town elder looked on, his weathered face etched with worry, but suddenly, his expression shifted to a grim resolve. "You'll need someone to guide you," he finally said, his voice breaking the tension in the air. "I will go with you." Murmurs swept through the crowd. "No, don't," one man shouted. "You're our only leader." Silence. The elder snapped, his voice unexpectedly fierce. "We have lost too many of our own already. What is left if we ignore the truth?" With that, he clasped Alara's shoulder, and she felt the steadfastness of his grip. But before more could be said, a cold wind stirred, and the shadows thickened around them. With an unexpected intensity, the creature returned, weaving through the darkness like a specter. "You are wiser than I thought," it hissed, eyes gleaming like obsidian. "But wisdom often leads to despair." Ilara's pulse quickened as her resolve hardened. "We'll follow you to the depths. We'll face whatever awaits." The creature clutched at the air, a grotesque smile stretching across its face. "Ah, the first of your trials awaits, but you should know," it paused, leaning closer, breath as frigid as an icy tomb. "Fear can blind even the most resolute." A shiver ran down Ilara's spine, but she stood her ground. "I will not falter." "Then let the journey begin." The creature twisted, and a path materialized behind it, dark and foreboding, like the gaping mouth of an abyss. The air thickened, enclosing the group in swirling shadows and an overwhelming sense of dread. One by one, the townsfolk stepped back, a collective hesitation filling their hearts. "We need to prepare," someone exclaimed, anxiety exploding like wildfire. "What have we done?" But Ilara, alongside the elder, took a step forward, plunging into the darkness, determined to uncover the horrors that awaited them. As they entered, a cacophony of whispered screams echoed in their ears, a chorus from the souls trapped within the void. "Do you hear that?" Ilara asked, voice trembling slightly, but she pressed onward. "It's a call for help." The elder nodded solemnly, his own resolve unwavering. "Yes, we're not just here to search for answers, we're here to rescue them." But just as hope surged within Ilara, shadows began to consume the light. The path twisted and turned, leading them deeper until it felt like a suffocating fog. Panic gripped her heart as she realized they weren't alone. Unseen watchers surveyed them, wicked smiles lurking behind the dark, waiting for the moment to strike. "Remember, fear blinds." The creature's voice echoed in the shadows, mocking them. Ilara's breath caught in her throat. "There's something here," she whispered. It felt like they were being hunted. With an urgent pulse thrumming in her veins and shadows closing in tighter, she glanced back at the elder. "What if we don't make it back?" The elder cast her a steady glance. "We must trust in our hearts, Ilara. Follow me." And just as they delved deeper, the lurking presence stirred, ready to reveal the first harrowing truth that awaited them. The thrill of the unknown surged forward, but with it came the chilling certainty that they were on the brink of an unfathomable revelation. What awaited them in the depths of this darkness? Would they find salvation, or would they be consumed by the very nightmares they sought to confront? As the echoes of laughter faded behind them, dread and anticipation intermingled like a tight-laced coil. The next moment would change everything, even the very essence of who they were. What truths could possibly dwell in the hells? The air hummed with a weighty silence as Ilara and the elder pressed deeper into the thick darkness. Every step pulled them further from the comfort of the familiar, the murmur of the crowd fading like a distant memory. Shadows whispered sinister secrets, and familiar chills crawled along their spines. "Stay close," the elder warned, his voice a low growl, echoing off unseen walls as they ventured deeper. Ilara nodded, but a sense of dread gnawed at her. Every fiber in her being screamed to turn back. Yet, she clenched her fists, fighting the urge to flee. There must be answers here. Truths that could set the lost souls free. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted. A low growl emanated from the darkness, resonating through the hollow space. Ilara froze. "What was that?" she whispered, her throat dry and mouth tight. "Something we're not meant to see," the elder murmured, scanning their surroundings. His brow furrowed, indicating he felt it too, the suffocating weight of unseen eyes. The growl grew louder, morphing into a chorus of snarls and hisses. A blinding flash illuminated the path ahead, revealing grotesque shapes writhing in the distance. Shadows twisted into elongated forms, merging into a terrifying spectacle. For a heartbeat, she glimpsed scaly creatures with jagged teeth, their hollow eyes fixated on her in a grotesque hunger. "Ilara!" The elder's voice sliced through her shock. We must move. She sprang into action, heart racing as they hurried onward. The air grew thicker, as if they were rushing through smoke. Each breath became a struggle against an oppressive wave of despair that threatened to pull her under. Then she saw a glimmer of light flickering in the distance, pulsating like a heartbeat. There! Alara shouted, pointing ahead. We need to reach it. Not yet. The elder called, a note of urgency laced with caution. We have to be prepared for what lies beyond. But it was too late. With a surge of determination, Alara was already racing forward, drawn by the promise of hope. The shadows behind them seemed to writhe in anger, ripping through the air as they pursued. An instinct rooted deep within her pushed her onward, every heartbeat a war drum rallying her spirit. They burst into the light, and it folded around them like a warm embrace, a sanctuary from the darkness. But what lay before them was far from reassuring. A vast chasm spread out before them, the ground littered with bones and remnants of clothing, a haunting testament to lives lost. Ethereal figures drifted above the remains, their faces twisted in anguish. What is this place? Alara breathed, horror painted across her features. Hell, the elder replied solemnly, his voice trembling. We've entered the first layer of despair. No, Alara's heart thudded harder. We can't leave them like this. We have to help. A chilling laugh echoed around them, the creature materializing once more, exuding a malevolent delight. Help? It mocked. What can two lost souls do against this darkness? You're merely shadows of a dream. Alara's resolve shook beneath the weight of its scorn, memories of the townsfolk flooding her mind. We came here for the truth. We will face whatever it takes. We'll find a way, she added, more fiercely now. We're here to rescue the lost. It is you who need rescuing, the creature hissed, shadows swirling around it, creeping closer. As its wicked laughter resonated, Alara sensed a surge of energy within herself. I won't allow fear to rule me, she shouted, stepping toward the gaping void. The ethereal figures paused, their faces shifting from despair to a flicker of hope, but just as she felt the heat of determination swell, the ground below them began to rumble. The abyss stirred, threatening to consume them both. Hold on. The elder shouted, grabbing Alara's arm tightly, but the pull of the darkness felt unstoppable, an octopus of despair squeezing them ever tighter. Staring into the void, Alara's throat tightened. Was this their fate? To drown in darkness? Suddenly, something brighter than darkness flashed into her mind, a vision of light, of love, of those in the town counting on her. Would that be enough to push against the suffocating weight? As the darkness roared, threatening to consume them, Alara's heart leapt. They must brave the second layer and face what awaited them. The truth might be more daunting than they imagined. They had to move ahead, or risk being lost forever. Ready? The elder asked, eyes fierce. Always. With their resolve ignited, they prepared to dive into the next realm of horror and hope, unaware of what soul-wrenching revelations lay ahead. Would their hearts remain strong against the rising tide of despair, or would they become another lost part of this hell? What awaits them as they step into darkness anew? The answers may hold the power to change everything, including their very souls. A rush of cold wind tugged at Alara and the elder as they stood at the edge of the void. The atmosphere around them crackled with energy, an electric chill that sent shivers racing down her spine. What if we can't come back? She asked, her voice barely escaping her throat. We have to, the elder replied, determination hardening his features. For them. With one deep breath, they plunged into the darkness. Obsidian waves curled around them, swirling like ink in water. The light faded, swallowed by shadows that stretched and twisted with malicious intent. Alara's heart hammered in her chest, fear and resolve battling within her. With a jolt, they landed on solid ground, a cold, uneven surface that pulsed beneath their feet. It felt alive. Almost instinctively, Alara took a step forward, bracing herself for what lay ahead. The dim lights around them flickered to life, revealing a new landscape that exuded horror. This new layer felt different. It wasn't just despair, it was chaos. Distorted faces screamed from the walls, their mouths wide open in eternal anguish. The ground was littered with strange objects, remnants of lives tormented by their own choices. "What is this place?" Ilara gasped. "Guilt," the elder whispered. "A realm for those who cannot escape their shadows." Before she could respond, phantom figures emerged from the walls, wailing like lost souls drifting through fog. Their eyes gleamed with a haunting recognition, the pain of regret etched into their very beings. Each scream pulled at Ilara's heartstrings, threatening to entwine her in their sorrow. One figure detached from the wall and stumbled toward them, a man whose face bore the marks of eternal torment. "Help me. I can't breathe. Please." Ilara felt her body tense, the urge to reach out battling against the instinct to back away. "We can't save everyone, can we?" Her words faltered, fear creeping in. The elder's grip tightened on her shoulder. "We must try, Ilara. Every soul matters. Remember, it's not about saving them all, it's about giving them hope." With that, they approached the man. "What binds you here?" Ilara asked, her voice steady amidst the cacophony of despair surrounding them. He gasped, trapped in his own memories. "I betrayed my brother. I let him think I'd abandoned him. I can't forgive myself." The weight of his anguish pressed against her chest, a tangible force. "But you're not alone. You can find redemption," she urged, stepping closer, her heart pounding in solidarity. At her words, the man's visage flickered, a glimmer of light pushing through the darkness that had consumed him. For a moment, hope sparked in his eyes. But the creature's laughter echoed again, a sinister sound that drowned out their fragile connection. "Foolish girl. Pity doesn't change your reality." It taunted, shadows rippling in delight around them. The walls writhed closer, restricting their movements. "Don't listen to it," the elder shouted, voice rising above the noise. "Face it. Fight it." Ilara felt that surge of energy once more, a tidal wave of courage crashing through her. With a fierce shout, she declared, "We will not be your pawns. We will fight for every soul lost in this darkness." Suddenly, the ground shook violently. Faces screamed out, their agony radiating like a heartbeat, pulsating with the rhythm of despair. They were being pulled backward, the weight of sorrow dragging them down. "Stay together," the elder yelled, but Ilara was already straining against the tide, desperate to hold on to the fleeting hope she had ignited in the lost man's eyes. Just when it seemed utterly hopeless, her thoughts flared to the people she cared for, their faces clear in her mind. "No. We are stronger than this." The moment hung near a breaking point as ethereal energy exploded from her, flashing through the darkness. But the abyss around them began to snarl, splitting open with an insatiable hunger. As they were forced deeper into the chaos, Ilara wondered what awaited them in this tumultuous whirl of guilt and pain. What other horrors lurked at the edges of this forsaken realm? Would they uncover the truth, or be torn asunder by the very shadows they sought to escape? The answer felt just within reach, but uncertainty pressed like a vice around her chest. With darkness swirling dangerously close and hope flickering like a dying flame, they pressed on, determined to unearth whatever truths lay ahead, for better or worse. As they plunged deeper into the chaos, the screams morphed into a symphony of anguish and despair. The walls pulsed like a living thing, echoing the tortured cries of the lost. Ilara's heart raced, each beat a reminder of the danger that surrounded them, threats weaving through the shadows and wrapping around their throats. "Keep moving," the elder urged, his eyes scanning their dismal surroundings. "We must find the source of this pain." Ilara nodded, summoning every ounce of courage. She could feel that faint connection, a spark of hope flickering like a candle in the midst of a storm. The lost souls that had reached out to her earlier seemed to cling to that same glimmer of light. They were waiting for someone to lead them out of this darkness. "What if we can't?" She whispered, doubt creeping in like a chilling fog. The elder turned to her, firm and unwavering. We will. If not for ourselves, then for all those left behind. They deserve to find peace. Pushing forward, they stumbled upon a horrific scene. A massive stone pedestal loomed before them, shrouded in darkness and dripping with shadows that writhed like snakes. Intricately carved runes spiraled upwards, pulsating with a sickly green light. Names floated in front of them, whispered through the air like an incantation. Do you hear that? Elara said, her voice trembling. The elder nodded, his eyes narrowing. It's drawing us in, but beware, it may also bind us. We have to break its hold. Suddenly, the pedestal erupted with a heady rush of energy, sending sparks flying around them. The air thickened with desperation as one by one, the faces of the damned emerged from the stone-tortured souls reaching for freedom, tears glistening like shattered glass. Help us! They wailed in unison, their voices threading together in a haunting melody of torment. We are bound to this place. End our suffering. Elara felt a jolt of urgency pierce through her, but she also sensed something more profound, a weight that threatened to crush her spirit. How can we help them? She asked, voice breaking. The elder stepped closer to the pedestal, determination etched into every line of his face. We must confront the source of their anguish and ask the right questions. Only then can the truth free them. Just as he reached toward the glowing runes, darkness burst forth, howling with a fury that shook the ground beneath them. Shadows converged, keenly aware of their presence, and within that cacophony came a sinister laughter. Foolish beings! Echoed the voice of the creature that tormented them. Do you think you can defy fate? These souls are mine. Struggling against the surge of fear, Elara clenched her fists. No! They can't remain here. The fight ignited within her again. Concentrate, Elara. The elder's voice rose above the chaos. Channel your light. Show them the way. Heart pounding, she closed her eyes, reaching inward. Images of her loved ones flooded her mind, moments shared, laughter exchanged. She steadied her breath, drawing on that warmth, allowing it to coil around her like a protective barrier. Light exploded from her core, illuminating the darkness, and for a fleeting second, all shadows retreated. Faces of the lost turned towards her, curiosity and hope shining through their despair. Let go of your guilt. She shouted, voice steady. You are not alone. There is still time to make amends. But the creature roared again, a tempest of bitterness. You meddle in affairs beyond your understanding. They belong to me. The ground surged once more, and the pedestal quaked, sparks shooting dangerously close. The souls began to scream louder, their fear palpable as the shadowy presence threatened to consume them. Stay strong. The elder commanded. Together. We must unify our strength. Elara reached for the elder's hand, squeezing tightly. They formed a bridge between their hope and the souls bound by despair. As they poured every bit of their light into the darkness, the shadows writhed, battling against the purity of their resolve, but would their collective strength be enough to pierce through the veil of torment? Would they reclaim the lost souls, or was the abyss too powerful a foe? With uncertainty clawing at her gut, Elara braced herself for the confrontation ahead. The climax of their journey loomed ever closer, but at what cost? Suddenly, she heard a familiar voice, ringing through the hollowness, and her heart froze. Was that someone she once lost? Would she find them here, or was it another trick of the abyss? The answer hung like a noose around her neck, as darkness crashed toward them, threatening to rip apart everything they fought for. Elara squeezed the elder's hand tighter, her heart thundering like a wild horse. The shadows swirled around them, a chaos of darkness and despair that threatened to swallow their light whole. The familiar voice echoed again, this time clearer, and it cut through the fear like a blade. Elara, help me! Panic gripped her. Was it truly him? The brother she lost so long ago? Her mind raced, memories of laughter and warmth mingling with the bitter sting of his absence. But time was running out, and she couldn't let the abyss snatch her away from this moment. Stay focused. The elder urged, his voice steady amid the storm. Draw strength from that voice. It belongs to someone in pain, but it also guides us. Elara nodded, trying to ground herself. What do we do? She shouted, her voice rising above the roiling despair around them. Embrace your fear. Transform it into light. The elder's words resonated within her. Fear could be a weapon, a light turned against the dark. She closed her eyes once more, envisioning that spark, the love that had once connected her to her brother. Memories flooded back, silly moments, the warmth of shared dreams. But shadows loomed closer, battering against her resolve, whispering malicious lies. You can't save him. You don't belong here. With each ghastly suggestion, Elara felt herself wavering. But then she recalled the laughter, the late-night talks, the promises to always protect one another. A fire ignited within her again, fueled by vulnerability, grief, and the unyielding hope that her brother was in this realm, waiting for her. Suddenly, the spectral forms around the pedestal surged forth, their faces twisted in agony. We are trapped, they cried, release us from this torment. Listen. Elara shouted back, her voice lifting above the screams. They needed to understand the truth that their suffering wasn't their fault. It was the shadows that had twisted their destinies. Let me help you. She felt the heat of that truth surge through her veins, bursting from her chest like a flood of light. It radiated outwards, illuminating the depths of their despair, the agonizing darkness quivering against her brightness. Together. The elder shouted, joining in as he raised his other hand toward the pedestal. The wave of light expanded, a pulse that resonated in time with the thumping of their hearts. But just then, the darkness screamed back, a chilling counterattack that rattled their bones. You think you can save them? They are mine. Forever. The shadows lashed out, spikes of dread aimed right at their hearts. Elara felt a cold grip wrap around her, lunging for her spirit. She could hear it then, the desolation of her brother, pulled and twisted by the dark entity that claimed dominion over lost souls. Elara. That familiar voice broke through, filled with anguish but also a flicker of hope. Find me, brother. She shouted, her heart aching. She imagined him there, trapped in a void of shadow, his spirit tainted yet still fighting. Drawing on every ounce of energy she had, she shouldered the pain and pushed back. The elder's voice came again, stronger now. Channel that love. Shape it into a beacon. Elara felt it, the bond between them undeniable, stretching across the chasm of despair. She concentrated, pouring every detail of their connection, every shared memory into her light. The shadows recoiled as if struck, the cries of the tormented growing fainter, falling into a rhythm of uncertainty. What if this was not enough? What if the creature consumed them all before they found him? As if reading her thoughts, the elder steadied her with a look filled with unwavering confidence. Do not falter, Elara. Hope is the key. We will break these chains. With renewed fervor, she unleashed her essence, a pulsating surge that shattered the oppressive silence, illuminating the truth that reverberated through the dark. And then, in shocking clarity, she saw him, a flickering silhouette amidst the chaos. Elara. He cried out, desperate yet filled with longing. Would she reach him in time? Hold on. She screamed, but the shadows lashed out. Again, angry and relentless, charging toward them. Would they find victory against the consuming darkness? Or was this merely the beginning of something far more sinister? As doubt crept in once more, the shadows lunged forward, and Elara braced for a fight that could cost them everything. The darkness crashed around Elara like a turbulent wave, sharp and biting. She squared her shoulders, feeling the elder's grip steady her as they faced an onslaught of despair and shadows. Just then, she saw it, the silhouette of her brother, barely clinging to existence, a flicker of light in a storm of darkness. Keep pushing. The elder shouted, grounding her once more. Gather your strength, Elara. She focused on that flickering light, clenching her fists tight as memories flooded her. Days spent laughing over silly games, the way his smile warmed every room. And then it hit her, the essence of their bond. Love and loss intertwined. The darkness couldn't comprehend what that power meant. As she felt the warmth of those memories surge through her, she focused, sending every ounce of her energy into that beam of light she had created. It surged forward, illuminating the faces of the tortured souls around her, granting them a fleeting glimpse of hope. The shadows shrieked. You cannot escape your fate. He is ours. But Elara would not yield. She pushed harder, widening the spectrum of her light, wrapping it around the screaming wraiths. You don't belong to them. She called out to them, her voice bolstered by relentless determination. You are more than your pain. At that moment, she felt a fleeting connection to each of them, a tether formed by their collective suffering. It filled the void with a revealing truth: they shared the burden of loss, and that loss could be transformed into strength. With the elder by her side, they sent a combined wave of luminosity surging outward. The shadows twisted and writhed, clashing against the brilliance, their forms flickering in a battle for dominance. Reach for your brother. The elder urged. Bring him back. Elara's heart raced. She strained her senses, searching desperately for her brother's flicker in the chaos. I'm coming. She shouted, her voice cutting through the madness. Suddenly, she felt the pressure of a cold, slimy tendril wrap around her ankle, pulling her back. No! She cried, panic surging through her veins. It was then that the shadows began to envelop the elder, his own light dimming in the midst of battle. Stay with me. He grunted, struggling against the tendrils. Elara's heart dropped. I want to let you go. She sank deeper into her resolve and called out to her brother once more. Fight. I believe in you. An eerie rumble coursed through the dark as her brother's silhouette flickered more brightly, drawing strength from her courage. His form sharpened into clarity, fragile but resolute. Don't give up on me. He shouted, his voice breaking through the waves of torment surrounding him. Suddenly, the shadows surged forward, and Elara felt an impossibly heavy weight pull at her spirit. It was suffocating, trying to shred the bond they had crafted with love. The elder's skin was dimming, and Elara realized they were losing ground. No! She yelled, a primal scream that filled the void. With every ounce of fear and love swirling inside, she willed herself to act. Summoning what felt like an infinite reservoir of power, Elara formed a brilliant orb of light above her, swirling radiance that forced the darkness to withdraw. She felt the warmth of her brother edging closer, buoyed by her insistence. But just when she thought they were gaining the upper hand, a powerful voice pierced the air, deep and rumbling. You cannot defy me, Elara. It sent shivers down her spine. The shadows recoiled, and a figure began to materialize in the center of the darkness, its presence terrifying, a swirling mass of anger and despair, looming and omnipotent. In that moment, Elara felt raw, bone-deep fear wrap around her. What are you? She gasped, though she knew deep down the answer was more dire than she could comprehend. The figure chuckled, low and dangerous. I am your greatest nightmare. You've just stepped into my domain. And as the shadows began to close around them once more, Elara's heart raced. Did they have enough strength to defy this malevolence, or was this the beginning of their demise? The figure stretched an arm out toward her, and with a breath of icy dread, she braced for whatever horrors awaited them in the depths of his grasp. Would she find the courage to fight, or would this darkness consume all? The darkness pulsed as the figure loomed large, an overwhelming force of despair that pressed against Elara's chest. Each beat of her heart screamed in protest, urging her to flee, yet she remained rooted to the spot. The elder by her side faltered, his light dimming further as shadows clawed at him. Elara! He gasped out, his eyes wild with fear. Focus on your love. Use it, Or we'll all be lost. The figure's voice rumbled like thunder. You cling to your emotions as if they matter here. I will sever your bonds, and then you'll understand true solitude. A chill ran through her. It felt as though every breath she took had been stolen by that terrible presence. But in the depths of that fear, a spark ignited. She wouldn't let it win. Not now. Not ever. Not today. She shouted, bringing her hands together as if she could trap the energy between them. Memories flooded her, every laugh, every tear, every moment shared with her brother. It was a life vibrant and full. The warmth surged through her fingers, pooling into a bright sphere of light that flickered defiantly against the dark. With every ounce of strength, she hurled the orb toward the shadow figure. You do not control us. She yelled as it exploded in a kaleidoscope of bright energy that sent shockwaves through the darkness. Wraiths screamed as they were enveloped, their forms twitching and pulsing with newfound light, but the figure laughed deep and menacing. You think this is enough? I will consume that light, Alara. I will take what you love most. In a panic, she turned back to the elder, who was now fighting against the ghosts coiling around him, their faces twisted in agony. She could see the depletion in him, and a surge of desperation clawed at her. Hold on. She cried out, reaching towards him, her fingers stretching to bridge the gap of salvation, but as she did, the figure lifted its arm, and shadows coalesced where it pointed. Feel the weight of despair. It thundered, and the shadows billowed toward her, ripping the tendrils of light she had created, unraveling the very essence of hope she had birthed. Alara clenched her teeth. She would not be taken down so easily. Summoning the memories of laughter and joy, she poured everything she had into the light once more. We share our pain. Together, we are stronger. Bright flashes ignited around her, illuminating the faces of the souls trapped in darkness, their eyes flickering in response to her unwavering will. One by one, they began to break free, their ethereal forms joining hers in a rally against the oppression, but then, amidst the surge of light, a cold dread washed over her as she caught sight of her brother's silhouette again. He was still wavering, the light around him growing faint. Panic gripped her heart. No! Brother, fight! She cried out, feeling the tendrils tangling her feet, anchoring her down, threatening to undo everything she had worked for. I'm trying, Alara. He called, his voice strained, almost drowned by the shadows closing in. But I can't do it alone. Tears blurred her vision as she strained against the darkness bound to her. If joy and love could uplift their spirits, they would pull through. Her heart raced, pounding in her ears, as she summoned every cherished memory, the laughter, the shared meals, the stories that stretched into the night, echoing in her mind. Suddenly, the figure's laughter erupted again, echoing in mockery, and its voice vibrated through Alara's body, turning her blood to ice. You may fight, but love alone cannot save you. This is my realm. Everything surged in one last flicker of fury, a battle cry woven with the strength of her brother's existence. Light! She bellowed. Come to us. And with that, she thrust her hands forward, a blaze of warmth erupting as she channeled the essence of her brother's spirit into the heart of the darkness. Would it be enough to break the curse? Would she finally save her brother from the clutches of despair, or would they become one more lost soul in the shadows? As the shadows twisted, preparing for a final striking blow, Alara wondered if they truly could defy fate. The air hung heavy, and silence enveloped them, leaving only the pulse of anticipation crackling like electricity. The pulse of energy crackled around Alara like static, a tension palpable enough to slice through the thick air. Shadows pressed in, threatening to swallow the light, but the flicker of her brother's spirit sizzled bright in her heart. Now! She screamed, pouring out the fervor within her, arms outstretched wide, a beacon of hope forged from pain. As the force of her love crashed forward, colors erupted through the darkness like fireworks in the sky. A wave of brilliance washed over the terrain, starkly contrasting the choking shadows. Faces, once twisted with agony, illuminated around her, a tide of lost souls awakening from their torment. They turned to her, their eyes glistening as they drew strength from the light she wielded. "Follow it," Alara urged. "We're getting out of here." The creature's growl reverberated through the chaos, a sinister void clawing at them. "You think you can escape? This is merely the beginning." It roared, shadows swirling, attempting to reclaim control. But Alara held her ground, light flaring even brighter, urging those around her to push forward. "Remember your love. Your connections. We're stronger together." In that defining moment, her brother's silhouette flickered back into view. "Alara!" he shouted, desperation etched into his features, shadows swirling fiercely about him. "I'm slipping. No. I will not lose you." Alara cried, her voice heavy with emotion. The memories of laughter, of unyielding bonds, surged through her like a wildfire. "Hold on. Just hold on." Drawing on every ounce of her spirit, she focused on the connection that tethered them, a bond woven with shared dreams, childhood promises, and the warmth of family. "We have to do this together," she yelled, feeling the electricity of his spirit drawing closer. It sparked a reaction, the tendrils around him began to loosen, with a fateful leap, she launched herself toward him, hand outstretched. Hope flowed between them, a shining cord pulling tighter. He grasped her fingers, and a burst of light shot through their union, splitting the darkness, radiating warmth. The shadows around them writhed violently, a wounded beast gasping for air. "Enough!" the creature bellowed, rage boiling over. "You cannot fight what you cannot see. You've already lost." Its ominous voice became a howl, the weight of its presence crashing down as it coiled around Alara and her brother. But even as the darkness swelled, Alara felt encouragement from the crowd of souls reviving beside her. They had built something more, an echo of each other's pain transformed into shared strength. Souls of regret, longing, and darkness surged towards the light, whispering unison in their haunting desperation for freedom. "Together!" Alara exclaimed, pulling her brother closer, feeling the warmth of hope radiate between them. "We can defeat it." With a mighty surge, they directed their collective light against the tendrils of darkness, a cacophony of brightness crashing against despair. The shadows howled, buckled, and twisted in desperation, but the bond they formed ignited a rebellion, a flash of love that threw back the suffocating darkness. "Watch and witness my victory!" the creature screeched, but the overwhelming tide of courage obliterated its will. The very fabric of despair buckled under their unity. As disintegration unfolded around them, the wave of light consumed the creature whole, frame by frame, turning it into a shimmering dust, the essence of its darkness scattering into oblivion. The wails of souls filled the air, then quieted, a peace washed over, replacing their cries with the sweet sound of release. Alara collapsed into her brother, tears streaming. "We did it. We really did it, yes," he replied, his eyes sparkling with life and relief. "You saved me, Alara. You were so brave." Their laughter mingled, echoing in the sacred space between them, filled with love and warmth. As the remnants of strangling shadows faded, the air lightened, freeing them from the burden of despair entirely. Around them, the lost souls began to transform, ascending into radiant figures, free at last. With a final lingering glance at those they had rescued, Alara sighed in warmth, knowing they would carry forward, filled with the love they'd unlocked in the fires of struggle. And there, amidst the returning light, a path slowly emerged, a gentle, inviting glow leading them upward toward tranquility. "Let us go home," Alara whispered, hand in hand with her brother. Together, they stepped forward into the embrace of freedom, knowing they had faced the depths of despair and emerged victorious. Life awaited them, a rebirth on the horizon. The crowd which had once gathered beneath fear-stricken faces now cheered, their spirits lifted. Heartbeats synced in unity, a testament that, together, they could conquer even the unfathomable depths of darkness. This was their new beginning. Together, remember to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. You need to show your support, and only true fans understand how important it is for us to grow this community.